Walking down the street. I'll take this back for a second. I'll bring it back. If I'm walking down the street and a guy is standing on the corner and he says, "Hey, bro, take one of these." What am I going to do with that paper? One of several things. If it's some random guy I don't know on the street, he hands me a piece of paper, I'm going to take a quick peek at it. Is it something I really care about? If I can't discern in 1 second, and he ain't got but 1 second on the street, because I got to keep moving, right? If I can't discern in 1 second whether this is of any interest to me, then I'm going to do one of two things. I don't litter, so I ain't going to just drop it on the ground. But I'm either going to walk, continue to read, if it grabs me. If it don't grab me, I'm walking looking for a garbage can. Because it ain't going to make it to my destination. Now, the exact same paper Tammy hands to me. Exact same paper. What am I going to do? Read it. Oh, I'm going to read it.
Thoroughly.
Somebody said thoroughly. Why? What's different?
Who gave it?
So you're telling me that who gives you something changes how you look at it. Who gives you something matters. It makes a difference who gave it to you, right?
Right.
That's true, right?
Yes.
Now, just from this little experiment, we recognize that's true, right?
Yes.
All right. Y'all all said that's right. First question. Who gave it to me? Take this back now. First question is who gave it to me? When you know who gave it to you, the second question is, why would they give it to me? Why would they give it to me? Now, the relationship may determine that based on the relationship that you have with this individual, what their idea or purpose was. Because if you know them or you have a relationship with them, it would indicate that you also know certain things about them. If they put something in your hand, then they have also recognized that if they don't give you instructions, that means you already know what to do. So if I hand Pam this iPad, and she knows Pastor Derry's preaching right now, he gave me his iPad. I just heard him say a scripture. What should I do? Look it up, right? Look it up. Now, if she opens it up and she sees there's a password on my iPad, and I didn't give her the password, then what? Ask for the password, close it up, nothing I can do with it. What I'm getting at is this. These people were given gifts according to their own abilities. They were left with no instructions. So that means there's an assumption laid in front of them. There's an assumption laid in front of them, and with that assumption, they will have to determine what they're going to do. Now, the problem for individual number 3 is that number 1 and number 2 both understood the assumption and did the same thing. They both began to do something with what they were given. The third person overprocessed. Verse 16. Then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and made another 5 talents. Likewise, the one who received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. We're going to serve alone, but we're going to settle together. Verse 20. So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I have made you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. He also, who had received 2 talents, came and said, Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Verse 24. Then he, who had received 1 talent, came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid. And I went and I hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But his Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant. You knew I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed. Therefore you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. Therefore take the talent from him, and give it to him who has 10. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. I want you to pay attention to what the 3 things the Lord called the guy with 1 talent. Verse 26. But his Lord answered and said to him, you wicked and lazy servant. He called him wicked and lazy. Now, what does this mean? Wicked. Why is he wicked? All he did was bury the money. All he did was try to give the master back what he asked. Why is he considered to be wicked? See, something was delivered to him with an expectation. Even if the expectation is not spoken, there's still an expectation. And when he was delivered the 1 talent, even though he didn't have a definition of what he's supposed to do, what he did have is because of who gave it to him, he had an understanding about who it was. Yeah. He said, you know what? I knew that you're a hard man. I know that you have high expectations. I know that you wanted a return for what you have. But I was scared that I would make a mistake. And so because I was scared to make a mistake, I covered my own rear end by burying your talent in the ground. Wicked and lazy. It is funny. You know why it's funny? Because people do it every day. We do it all the time. We're scared we're going to make a mistake, and so we shut ourselves off from doing certain things. We won't touch it, won't do it, won't even get close to it because we're afraid we might make a mistake. And if we make a mistake, God's going to be displeased with us, and we're not willing to risk that. Therefore, we're going to bury it in the ground and sit on it and wait for the Lord to return.